Welcome to Popup to Powerhouse, the podcast where side hustles turn pro. Here, we're pulling back the curtain on what it takes to build a standout, profitable brand in the event industry. From pricing with confidence to landing luxury clients, I'm sharing the wins, the setbacks, and everything in between, so you can turn your passion into a powerhouse business. Can I ask you something? When you're busy, like really busy in business, and you're running errands and kind of beep-bopping around, do you ever say to yourself, if only I had more time, I would do fill in the blank? Yeah, me too. So I don't know if you're like me, but we all have these ideas when we're in the thick of it, of all these like marketing strategies we want to implement or these systems and processes. And I want to clean up these things, or I want to launch that new course, or I'm going to implement that marketing strategy that's been living in my brain rent-free for the last 6 months. And then we tell ourselves, when it slows down, I'm going to do that. And then it slows down. And instead of doing those things, you begin to spiral. We go into literal full panic mode. We start doing busy work. We're doing outreach, essentially freaking out. We do everything except for the thing that we said that we wanted to do. Okay, anyone else? I'm raising my hand. I cannot be the only one. So here's what actually happens when your brain goes into that mode. Research on entrepreneur anxiety shows that financial uncertainty, even if it's temporary, activates the same stress response as real physical danger. Your nervous system literally cannot tell the difference between just a slow month and actual danger. So the spiral completely makes sense. It's biology, but we can't let it run the show. I'm in the events industry, and it's anything but predictable. But in almost any other industry, there are seasons, times when business flows easily and times when it gets really quiet. Early in my career, I would really fall apart the first 3 months of the year because it was notoriously slow for events. And then my mom, who's been in the real estate industry for years, and we all know how unpredictable that industry is as well, sat me down and told me that I needed to recognize the seasons of my industry. And that once I did, I wouldn't freak out or panic when they would arise. Because once I understood them, I wouldn't be surprised by them anymore. I would be prepared. Slow periods aren't signs of failure, it's just rhythm. And once I really got that, predictable, slow seasons became a lot easier to move through. Now, did my brain want to default into scarcity mindset? Yeah, of course, sometimes. But I developed a framework for it, and that is what I'm going to teach you in today's episode. Because a panicked brain cannot execute strategy. You're going too crazy up there and you're freaking out. And here's the thing. If you approach potential clients or opportunities out of desperation or lack, they're going to be able to feel that. It comes through in your energy, your messaging, and your vibe. So we've really got to get your head right before we can move into tactics. Quick timeout. If you've been nodding along during this episode, then you are the type of person that we love having in our community. The best way to stay connected is by joining our email list. It's where we get to share a little bit more of behind-the-scenes magic, stories that I don't always get to share on the podcast, early access to special announcements, and ways to be part of the conversation with other listeners who care about the same things as you do. We'd love for you to be a part of it, so just head to thejamietaylor.com/email and drop your email in. No spam, just real connections and good stuff. Okay, so first thing we need to do is name what's actually happening and what's actually true. Because there's the real situation, and then there's the one that you think might actually happen, or the one that you're afraid will happen. Fear lives in the gap between those two things. So I want you to write it down and not just think it, write it. It's the most important part of this exercise, because it's much more powerful. It forces your brain to slow down and get more specific. Okay, so what does that actually look like? Like what's your reframe on this? So look at what's real. Okay, so this might sound something like reviewing my numbers for this year and realizing that I'm actually up for the year compared to last year. And maybe it's slow right now, but you have projects in the future. So the framework might look like, okay, I'm already up for this year, and even though it feels slow right now, I have some things to look forward to. And what I'm actually most afraid of is that my phone is going to stop ringing and I'm not going to get any more inquiries and nobody's ever going to call me again. Okay, now read that back. How dramatic was your brain being? Because that is what the fear is. You're afraid it's slow right now and you're like, "Oh my God, what if nobody ever calls me again?" But that's not what's going to happen because you're going to be taking action. You're still going to be doing things. You're still going to be making momentum. So really jot that down as your brain being dramatic. And when you put it on paper, you can see it a little bit more clearly. Number 2, recall your evidence. So that might look like, okay, we've had slow times before and I've made it through every other one. So why not? Why wouldn't I make it through this one? But here's the thing about our brains. Rick Hansen, a neuropsychologist, describes this as the brain being like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. The hard stuff sticks while the good stuff just falls right off. So you have to be intentional about pulling your evidence back up of all the good things that have happened and the things that you've made it through. Okay, so what does that sound like? And I know this sounds really weird, like, oh, you say this, but yes, you have to retrain your brain and its thoughts because it naturally is going to revert to that scarcity. So you have to say to yourself something like, business has always picked back up. I know I'm going to make it through this and we will be busy again. Okay, and then number 3, remember what you actually asked for. If you remember when we started this out, we asked for this time. We said, if only we had more time to carve that out and spend some time on these activities and these projects that I wanted to work on. But then when the slow time comes, we freak out. So remind yourself that you asked for this time. That one hit me really hard personally, and it might hit you too. Like you literally prayed for this break. You literally asked for the time to work on these things that you've been putting off. And then when the time showed up, you had the audacity to panic and freak out. I say that with so much love because I've literally done the exact same thing. Use this time because it's not going to last forever. Okay, number 4, anchor to what's coming. Look ahead, even if it's further out than what you would actually like it to be. Psychologists call this temporal self-appraisal, and research shows that reminding yourself of future milestones will actually help reduce present anxiety. Okay, so for me right now, I have 2 massive 4th of July installs coming up, and this slow time is actually allowing me to record more episodes, get all of my content created and going. And so I do have to remind myself, though, that I do have some large scale installations coming up in the future. It reminds me that something is coming and that my calendar doesn't lie, even if my brain or my feelings do. Now, I want to pause for a minute because I know that some of you that are listening might have nothing on the calendar. No big deal, nothing's coming, no event on the horizon. And that is a different kind of scary. And I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. And if that is you, your anchor isn't in future bookings, it's in your daily activities. Psychologists talk about something called locus of control. And research shows that people who focus on what they can control significantly lessen their anxiety versus people who focus on things that they can't. You can't control whether somebody does call you, but you can control what you do today to make that call more likely. So get visible. Most people, when things slow down, get quiet on social media. That's completely the wrong move. This is the time to show up and create something that you've been wanting to do and post it. You could reach out to past clients. This could look something like, I see that your event's coming up again this year. Are you interested in having fill in the blank, balloons, event, whatever it might be? You don't have to wait for people to call you. So I will actually do something where I will send clients. I kind of will assume that clients are going to work with me again because why wouldn't you? So I will literally get ideas of their events, whether it's surrounded by like holidays, like this is perfect for Valentine's Day or 4th of July or whatever it might be. And you'll send them ideas and be like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool. It's a real passive way to get into their DMs. And you're not really like asking them like, are you going to book me again? More or less, you're making their job easier because they don't have to think about it and it works time and time again. Okay, so here's a tip that has really saved me because I know that when I was running around and I'm busy and I have all these ideas like generating in my head, and then when I would come and sit down, my brain would literally go blank and I was like, what was that I was going to work on? Or so when I have those thoughts, I'll open up my phone, I write out a notes and have all these notes of these projects that I want to work on. And so when that time comes, I will sit down and I will look at that list and I'll decide which one is the top priority and the number one thing that I need to be working on. It makes it to when you do have those slow times, you don't freak out. You're like, okay, that's right. I wanted to work on those things. and you have your list. All right, so now let's shift and talk about working on your business, not just in your business. There's this concept from Michael Gerber, who wrote E-Myth, that I love. Most small businesses spend a majority of all their time working in their business, doing the things, executing, delivering. Almost no time is ever spent working on the business, improving it, cleaning things up, and setting it up so that it runs better. Slow seasons are the rare window when you have time to do that, and most people waste it panicking. Okay, so here's what I want you to actually do with that time. Start cleaning house, audit your finances, see like what's coming in, look at what's going out. And if you have any leaks, are there anything that you could cut back so that you can increase your profits and that you're not wasting money? So here's something fun that I just did. I downloaded my P&L and I put it all into AI and asked it how I could improve on my income. And it gave me all of these steps and all of these things to look at and essentially audited for me. But it was really interesting. It didn't do the work, but it definitely identified the things of where I might have had leaks. Maybe I'm not charging enough for certain things. So now I'm really kind of focusing on where those are at and how to scale back on a few things and just clean things up. So, and while you're in cleanup phase, go through and start cleaning up like your client processes, maybe organize your files and your folders, update your website, all the things that actually like fall through the cracks when you're super busy. Okay, so this is actually a really good time to start building out your systems. So maybe there's things that you wanted to expand on. So maybe you want to streamline your client processes. Maybe you want to set up emails and have automated emails going out. Or maybe you wanted to be blogging about different activities or things that you have going on to draw more traffic to your website. This is the time to kind of set up what that system looks like so that when you are busy, you can continue to do that. And if you don't have a content strategy, this is the time to build that out. I am a very visual person and I love color blocking and color coordinating things. So when I was setting up my calendar for this podcast and all of the content between my three businesses that I needed to produce, I like to see everything in one area. So I just pull up an Excel spreadsheet, but I want to see what emails, what blogs, stories, reels. I like to see everything in one place. And then as I go and I start creating them, I will start color blocking. So yellow means in the works and green means done. So super simple process, but it's really kind of fun to look at because you know exactly like what you're posting across all platforms. I know that there's a lot of other systems out there that you can subscribe to and do, but none of them I feel like really show up as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. So start kind of planning those things out and getting that set up. For me, that stuff I could kind of nerd out on it, but it's really therapeutic to me, and I feel a sense of calmness just by doing that. Now is also a perfect time to start investing in your skills and your brand. So maybe there's a course or a training that you've been wanting to do that you've been putting off because you haven't had time. This is the perfect time to be doing that. So I personally have been going through an ads course myself. And while I've hired ads out before, I'm just somebody who likes to understand how it works because I feel like it's really hard to evaluate or know whether or not somebody's doing good if you don't really know how to do it yourself. So that is something that I started to go through myself. So start kind of writing those things down that can go right into your notes. This is also a really good time to start, reevaluating your website, maybe updating the photos. You could also be looking at your pricing, making sure that your prices and everything is updated and streamlined across all different platforms. Okay, and this is one of my favorite things to do, but it's actually taking the time to sit down and kind of identify and dream. I think that we stop doing that at some point in our business because we get so busy. But I like to kind of sit down and identify and see like where am I at and where do I want to go? And then pull that pen and paper out again because you're going to want to write it down. And it's just a very great way to continue to be seeing like where you want to go and what you want your life and your business to look like in the future. Okay, and this last one, which I know is difficult for any entrepreneur, is just rest. Rest and relax maybe during this time. I know this one is really hard, but it really does matter. And I personally have to force myself to sit down and relax because I'm just not somebody who naturally wants to do that. But burnout is a real thing, and that will be a topic for another episode and something that I've learned to really start doing. The busy season is going to drain you, especially if you didn't take that time to relax and you're entering it already on empty. Studies on peak performance consistently show that rest periods improve both creative output and decision making. Elite athletes call this periodization, basically planned recovery built into their training. Your business has a season for the same reason. Rest is not laziness, it's strategy. So here's the truth that I want to actually leave you with. The entrepreneurs who come out ahead aren't the ones who necessarily panic less. They're the ones who use the quiet differently. The slow season is when the gap between you and your competition widens, because most people waste it in anxiety, and you're going to be building in it. Your busiest season is going to be built during your slowest one. Okay, so here is my challenge for you. I want you to take one thing from your list of things that you said that you want to be doing, and I want you to decide on one, and I want you to DM me on Instagram or TikTok at Jamie Taylor Creates and tell me the one thing that you're going to work on this week. I genuinely want to know so that we can all cheer each other on, because I have things that I'm working on too. So you're going to help me out as well. And if you know somebody, if this resonated with you, or you know somebody that needed to hear this, I would love it if you would share it with them. That's how we grow this community. And if you loved it, if you wouldn't mind, please follow this podcast and leave a review. It would mean so much to me. See you next time. Now, a quick ask. I want to keep bringing you these free educational podcasts so that you can build the event business that you want. You can make that possible by simply sharing this episode with your friend, following us on your favorite platform, and leaving us a review. It takes just a moment, and it makes sure that I can keep bringing you the best quality content so that you can go from pop-up to powerhouse.